What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about a Luke Fox article talking about why the Maple Leafs trade strategy could be different and a little bit complicated going into the trade deadline this year. So if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. If you love Leafs talk, trade rumors, news, everything like that, you've come to the right channel. Also, live shows will be coming back very soon, and a podcast that I'm still kind of developing is in the works. So if you want to be a part of any of that, like and subscribe, and let's get going. So like I said, there's a nice article here done by Luke Fox, and he's breaking down a lot of things. I was like reading it, and I was like, you know what? This is something that I feel like I can talk about and I can kind of break down a little bit, because I agree with a lot of what he's saying. Now, if you see, of course, we're still a little bit away from the March 7th trade deadline, but with a couple months left, the Maple Leafs have to start to come in with a different strategy, because there's a lot of points, negative and positive, that could lead the Leafs into a really good direction or a direction where Leaf fans are going to be left like, hey, like, this is not what we were looking for. This is not what we thought was going to happen going into this deadline, because we want to be contenders. We want to win. And if you look at what he's saying here, he's talking about how last season the Maple Leafs lacked any sort of draft capital or kind of the guts to go out there and get an Adam Henrique, a Sean Monahan, who would have been a big addition. He played really well and is still playing well this year. A Thomas Hertl. But instead, he kind of went for a Connor Dewar, Joel Edmondson, Ilya Lyubushkin type moves. And again, decent additions at a reasonable price, but hardly wow moves. And what Luke Fox is saying now is that the Leafs have a little bit more of consistency. They're more competitive. The stakes are higher. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And this paragraph right here kind of sums it up. President Brendan Shanahan is in the final year of his own contract, and if that doesn't ramp up the sense of let's go for it, maybe the fact that Mitch Marner or John Tavares in the final years of their contracts should get the Leafs thinking about what they should do. Now, just because you have your own rentals in Tavares and Marner, and hell, even Brendan Shanahan up top in the office, doesn't mean that you have to go all in, especially depending on where you are in the standings. And that's why I kind of went and looked at this. And a lot of people probably look at this every day. When I was younger, I used to love checking the standings literally every single night or every morning. But the Maple Leafs are currently first in the division. If you head over to the wild card, they're pretty comfortable in a playoff spot as well. Surprise, surprise. Look at the top three teams here and look at who's in the wild card spot down here. But it's actually getting really interesting. There's a lot of teams that are ramping up. Montreal is a team that's kind of surprising some people. Columbus has been a little bit better than originally thought. But it's ramping up in the entire East and West and everywhere. Every team is pretty competitive, but we are worried about the Maple Leafs. And with a 27-15-2 record, 56 points, they look like they're going to skate into a pretty decent spot, knock on wood, barring any crazy things happening. This team has been pretty consistent. They're getting good goaltending. Hopefully Stolarz comes back very soon. Wool's been good. Hildeby has been kind of shaky, but again, you're throwing a guy that's not necessarily fully NHL ready into the fire. We need to pump the brakes a little bit on that. He's still a highly touted prospect because goalies are mystery boxes, man. Any goalie could be crap for a few games and then go on a 20-game run. It happens, and we have to let these goalies develop. But the Maple Leafs need to go out there with Marner and Tavares in their last years of their deals and make a move. They need to go out there and spend. And you have to understand that you're getting great production from Marner, Tavares, Nylander, and Matthews, the big four, the core four. And, Tanev has had a really solid, healthy year, knock on wood. Same thing with Ekman Larsson, even though he was out for a bit. Morgan Riley's a different story. We're going to have another video on him coming up very soon. But again, like I mentioned, goaltending. And, they have a little bit more draft capital. Could they go out there and get some of these guys like Yanni Gourde, Scott Lawton, Brock Nelson? And we'll get to all of those things in a little bit. But if you take a look, and this is a website called Cap Wages, and it's a little bit small on that screen. Actually, while I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to pump it up a little bit so it's a little bit clearer for us here. But you can see they have a little bit more draft capital. They've got a few more picks that they can dangle. They've got a first in the next couple years. So, and ignore all this stuff. I was messing around with the website. But the Maple Leafs have draft capital. They have some prospects that could be interesting. But if you look at these numbers, and again, don't take these numbers too literal, because I'm just messing around with this site a little bit. They are using a little bit of LTIR. So if the Leafs want to, there's a chance they're going to be dipping into their LTIR pool, because Hawk and Paw and Yarncrook will probably not be ready. Maybe they might not even play this season. But the Maple Leafs can utilize the minors. They can utilize calling some guys up. They can get themselves to the cap floor and then use LTIR. They're a little bit over technically right now. But my point is they have draft capital. And if we go back to this article, they have guys that can be considered A prospects. I, for one, do not want to trade in Easton Cowan or Fraser Minton. Ben Danford, as much as I wouldn't want to move him, he's a guy that could be interesting if you dangle in a trade. And people are not going to like this, but if Fraser Minton is a part of a huge package and you land an elite talent, I'm not going to be too mad at that either. I don't think moving Easton Cowan is the right move. I know he didn't have the greatest World Juniors, but I mentioned this in another video, and you guys can go watch it. It's from a couple videos ago. The Leafs can't just give up on a kid because he had a couple bad games in a tournament. The whole team was bad. He actually was tied for first for points on Team Canada with 3. The whole team didn't perform. So I'm not just going to trade him, but I'm also not an NHL GM. But basically, to wrap this article up a little bit, the Maple Leafs have to go out there and not just play it safe, because this line right here, there is risk in playing safe. And the risk for the Maple Leafs is that you're going to lose Marner for nothing. You might lose Tavares for nothing as well. So if either one of those guys or both of them leave, you've just lost 2 out of your core 4. Now what's going to happen? Your depth is essentially the guys that are next up, and that's Domi, Robertson, McMahon, Nyes, which are great depth pieces, but that's what they are. They're depth. And Matthew Nyes is a first-line player right now. He's playing like that. He has a few off games, but are you just going to be like, yeah, he'll just replace Tavares' production? No, he's not going to do that. Are you going to be like, yeah, Bobby McMahon and Nick Robertson, they're just going to match Marner's output? No, that's not true. So the Maple Leafs need to go out there and give it one last kick if they are going to dismantle this team a little bit. If they don't have the opportunity to re-sign these guys in the offseason, they need to go out there and make some significant moves before the trade deadline. And in years past, I know the Maple Leafs under Kyle Dubas have made a couple moves and bigger moves that were made weeks before the deadline. I actually think the Maple Leafs should utilize that strategy once again. And the reason why I say that is because you can get guys acclimated into the team, and also you beat out the market a little bit. You go out there and you get your guy, and then everybody else has to pay up for other people. So, excuse me, even if the Maple Leafs overpay a little bit for those guys, I think it's worth it. You have to go out there with a team that's playing this well. They've been coached really well by Craig Berube. This is kind of the first video for me in terms of the number of videos I'm going to make talking about the Maple Leafs, but we kind of had to outline it in what they're standing at. What's their goal? Where are they in this process? So I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below as well. I need you guys to comment. Do you agree with what I'm saying in that the Maple Leafs should go out there and make a move, a big move before the deadline, maybe a couple moves? They're going to have to clear out some cap space, though. I do think there's going to be some money in, money out type stuff. Who's that going to be? So let me know down below. If you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Let's see what happens, man. We're getting closer and closer. I know it's in March, but it's already like, a couple weeks into January. The year has started. The Maple Leafs are still in first place. Let's see where it goes. Peace.